All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Word with Ty Brownlow. I am your host, Ty Brownlow. Remember, no one is worthless, no story is worthless. Today, ladies and gentlemen, do I have a very special guest for you? All the way from Columbus, Ohio. Please put your hands together for Dr. Lavonia Smith. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm good. I am great. First and foremost, I am very happy to have you on because we're going to talk about something today. I feel it's very, very, very imperative, especially for the youth of today's society. About STEM and, all the wonderful things that can be done with STEM. But before we even get into all that, I want to talk about you because you are the owner and founder of the Della School of Coding and Design. Can you tell me?
I didn't mean to cut you off. The only African American in Columbus that has a STEM school. So let me go ahead and say it too.
Oh, okay. Well, the only African American who has a STEM school in the city of Columbus, Ohio.
That's right. Okay. I have not. Yes.
Trailblazer. All right. So look, tell us about this and tell us how you came to found the school.
Well, it all started when I was working at this organization called the Navy Recruiting District, Ohio. And the Navy were looking for people to go into their science and technology and engineer program. Mm-hmm. And so what the recruiters would do, they would go out into these high schools looking for kids with high math scores, high science scores. And I would go out there with them sometimes as well. Sometimes we would be in these schools that had just the state of technology equipment that was just off the chart. And then I would go into some of these schools, there was nothing in there. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not right. Why does the school over here have everything to prepare these kids for STEM? And this school over here does not have it for these kids. So they're missing out. It's obviously the dollars are not going into this school. And so what I did was I founded this nonprofit organization called DLS Education and STEM Services. And so what we did was we decided to go into these schools, go into these neighborhoods like the Recreation Center, the Salvation Army, and propose the idea of having a STEM program, a STEM camp, also doing some tutoring with these kids too as well. And so after doing all of that, I said, you know what? Now it's time to start my own school, which came 6-7 years later. So I started my own school, which is how Della School of Coding and Design came about. But and so we just opened our doors in June, and we currently have about at least 10 students enrolled because we just opened. So we're still trying to get the word out there. We really don't have the funding for it, but I've been paying out of my pocket. But it's coming along. Eventually, the word will get out. So I've been doing a lot of radio interviews. I've been door knocking, just to get the name out there. And I think one of the reasons why my enrollment is low is because when we opened, parents had already enrolled their kids into other public schools or charter schools. So we were coming in at the end of the month, like when school was starting. Right. So parents had already had their kids enrolled in other schools. So, but we're looking probably to try to get some more enrollment by the end of the school year. But that's how Della School of Coding started. It's just that I just saw the lack of STEM being, presented and promoted in some of these schools that were not funded, that are not properly funded. So that's why I started my own programs.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about, under-resourced schools later on in the interview. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the DLS Education and STEM Service program you have as well, just a few minutes. But you said something very important, just a few minutes ago. You said you were going to some of these schools and, these STEM programs and the equipment and everything else was off the charts. But then you will go into some of these other schools where it's like, okay, what's going on?
Right.
Any tax dollars? Is there any money going towards these programs for these kids to basically have a chance in the future? And one reason why one reason why I'm glad I'm speaking to you is
Uh-huh.
I talk a lot about STEM, and I talk about this being the fourth industrial revolution,
Right.
and how everything today in today's society, like we're going cashless as a society.
Exactly.
If you go to any major sporting event, they will tell you they're pretty much cashless now. You walk in there with cash, you're just going to feel like an oddball, So that's just what it is. But I want to speak about it from a child's point of view, or let me just ask the question then.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, in your opinion, how important is, getting kids into STEM, in today's society? Like, how important is that?
Oh, so it's very important because the jobs, there are like 2.3 million, my numbers may be off, 2.3 million STEM jobs that are out there now. And we have really no one to fill these positions because nobody have the experience. They don't have the experience. They don't have the skill sets to do these jobs. So what are you going to do if just about every place you go into requires some type of technology? For an example, you go into Walmart, you don't really see that many cashiers anymore. No. You're scanning yourself. You're checking yourself out. So when that machine breaks down, who do you think they're going to call? They're going to call somebody with some technical skills to come out there to fix that machine. It's the same thing when you go into McDonald's. You don't really see that many cashiers, right? When that screen breaks down, who you think they're going to call? Somebody with some technology skills to come out there and fix it. So, and even with medicine as well, like our medicine has become so advanced that you're going to need a whole lot of science. You're going to need to know how to program this and program that, even in the medical field. Mm-hmm. And so I was reading somewhere online where they're really not going to be needing doctors anymore because people can go online and research what's wrong with them. Okay. They really can. All they got to do is, diagnose their whole self and then type it in the internet and then send it to the pharmacy. The pharmacy can send it. All of this is technology. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to really need human beings to do some of these jobs that were required, like 10, 15, 20 years ago. Yeah. So it's very important that families start thinking about, maybe I should focus on trying to get my kids into a STEM program. My school starts off with K-5. So we already know that is like the prime age to get these kids ready because that sets the foundation for their education. Mm-hmm. So if you can start them out early and build them on up, you've already helped them. You've already accomplished what you need for your child. You see what I'm saying? I mean, everybody's not college ready, but there are some technical schools that you can go to that have STEM jobs. So, I just think that parents need to be more involved in the child's education these days, more involved with STEM, because that's where we're headed. In fact, that's where we're at right now.
Well, let me just say this. Well, first and foremost, let me just say you made some very, very key points. Even, at talking about going to a Walmart, Target, wherever. If you just go to your regular grocery store, you may have only 2 or 3 like human cashiers. The rest are just machines. You have the self-checkout line. And as you said, if one of those machines break down, they're going to call somebody to come in there to fix that. I'll even take it a step further. And I was having a conversation with someone, even breaking it down to like the smallest thing. I'm in a store with my son. Okay. We're going grocery shopping. Items are coming through, the conveyor belt or what have you, and cashiers scanning them. Scan. At the end, they give you the breakdown of everything and they tell you how much money you save. I turned to him and I said, somebody's collecting this data, and like I try to talk to him about STEM here, right. and of course him being a teenager, but that data is collected and it goes somewhere because, man, the store is letting people know what it is that I like, and somebody keeps track of all that stuff. So eventually, once you put your card in, because as I said, we're going cashless, right? Card in, that chip reads directly to your account. You don't think they put two and two together, and you're not going to get an email or have certain ads pop up on your phone or what have you, talking about certain items that you bought? Yes,
exactly.
Yes, you are.
And you know what? And not even putting your card in, you can also use your phone too for them to just scan that barcode. So coupons are really going away too as well. So you don't see that many coupons. Because I get mine on my phone. I just take it, okay, just scan the barcode. That's what I do.
Well, look, coupons, menus. All you have to do is scan the QR code and the menu pops up on your phone. Like, everybody's getting away from the traditional route. And we are really in the future right now, you know? But you hit on something earlier when you were talking about parents. And I want to ask, like, you know, how important is it for parents to really understand the role of STEM? Because as I said before we start talking, 9 times out of 10, when certain parents see the word STEM, they just figure, oh, okay, you know, you're going to be building robots or you're going to be doing something technical or whatever. But they think of like the, you know, smallest, most like traditional thing. How important is it for you, or how important do you think it is for parents to really understand the role of STEM when they're putting their child into these programs?
Whenever I speak to a parent, I'll also let them know, hey, we're also doing the traditional learning as well, traditional English, science, social studies, and math. We're also teaching that. In addition, we're teaching STEM. So I let them know what it stands for: science, technology, engineering, math. So, and I tell them this is more of an advanced school. I just think that you guys should really, you know, focus hard on what STEM is all about. Start going into, like, for an example, we have a center called COSI, Center of Science Industry here. Parents here in Columbus, Ohio, everybody knows what that center is all about. They know it's a science program. So everybody knows that. And so, and what I have also told parents is that, you know, you really need to dig hard into it. But I think a lot of parents are really knowing what STEM is all about when they see it. But I also let them know that even though they may be building robots, but here's the thing: when you talk about science, you're really talking about research. Okay, that's what the S stands for in STEM, research. And then when you start talking about the T, which is technology, okay, yeah, they're building robots, but guess what? They are thinking, they're using those logical skills, okay? And then you have the engineering, you know, then you have the math. Math is also logical too. You have those thinking skills. So when they are building these robots, they're building up on those skills. The ability to think, the ability to solve problems, the ability to know how to research and working as a team. So I let them know that's what STEM also encompasses too. It's not just about building robots. So that's how I explain it to parents as well.
Okay, I like
and so, but there are here in Ohio, you know, we're big on STEM. I'm gonna let you know that now. We're big on STEM. We have Ohio Department of Education. If you go onto their website, they have STEM learning on there that parents can go into. We have lots of partnership programs with the Ohio Department of Education that are in these schools, getting involved with teaching these kids about STEM as well. So parents can go onto this website as well. It's open. So, you know, it's just a matter of letting them know where these resources are.
I got you. Look, I just think it's very imperative that parents really understand the role of STEM, you know, and let's just go back to what we were just talking about, going to Target and all these other places. When you scan your item, you know, like someone had to build like that, like laser or whatever for the, you know, machine to work for you to pretty much for, you know, the machine to recognize the item. And then someone had to put in the information for the item to come up. Oh, this is on sale for whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
This is this item. This is this item. And as I said, you know, data, you know, like data is a part of STEM because everything that we do is basically data-based. And you're in education, and I know, you know, a lot of times you're going to hear superintendents, other principals, or, you know, other higher ups Man, I've always heard this in education. The data shows if XYZ does this, then this will happen. I mean, I know it was cliche when I heard it, but like in today's society, that's true because data, usually goes along with everything, pretty much everything, any and everything that we do. Man, you were just talking about like even doctors, replacing doctors. You go in, you put in your ailment. Oh, okay, the computer's going to generate. Okay, well, yeah, you may need this, that, and the other. And I will even go so far as psychology. Therapists, they have telehealth now. You're not even like sitting in a room talking to your therapist now. You're pretty much having a Zoom call, or everything's on chat. So it's very key. Very key. Like, okay, I got you.
Like I was telling somebody, like even when you're on your phone, when you're sending a message to somebody, that's coding. You're coding, you don't even realize it. But it's deeper than that. Anytime you do something on your phone, you're coding. You're sending a message, because you're sending out a signal. That's coding. That's what coding pretty much is all about. Sending out a signals to make this do that and make that do this. That's coding. We don't even realize it.
Case in point, PS5 or my Xbox people, when you're sitting up there making these characters, or you're trying to get your face scanned or whatever to make the character look more like you, this is part of what we're talking about. Like there's a team of people that's doing these things. So look, I am very passionate about, especially African American youth getting into STEM and like getting like in the race, because usually we are far behind, when it comes to some of everything else. But I mean, if we don't address this, I'm not even going to say 10, 15 years down the road. I'm going to go 5 to 10 years from now. We're going to be, out of the race, period. Like
we definitely are. And that was one of the reasons why when Obama came into office, he had a STEM initiative program going on to push STEM into the schools. And a lot of our school systems are not using it because they are afraid to use it, because some of them are not, some of our teachers are not experienced. They feel like they don't have enough time in the classroom to teach it or promote it. But I'm like, no, you're wrong. And you can't really. I mean, I like teaching. I'm a big advocate of teachers. I'm not trying to put anybody down, but we do have teachers that don't really want to teach them in the classrooms. But hey, but STEM is very big these days. It just, I don't know.
Well, I'm going to say
that is not really taught as much as it should be, because of the world of technology, because of where we're at. When technology.
Well, I would say more like some of those teachers that you're talking about are more traditionalist, and they can't wrap their mind around a concept of trying to teach them. And, for some of them, it's no fault of their own, but for others, they know a little bit better,
Yeah, but I tell you what, during the pandemic, when the schools closed down, a lot of parents got to experience what this STEM was all about. So they had to learn how to push a button here, how to drag this to here. So they had to kind of like, wait a minute, I don't know how to do this, but they had to learn themselves.
Yeah, it was a trial and error. Oh, no. Oh, I agree.
And that was a wake-up call for them. When those kids started learning online, that's your wake-up call. There you go.
So now look, let's talk about, careers in STEM, and what kind of careers people can have in STEM, because I know we just, went off on our own little, way about, some of the things that's happening in some of the traditional, careers that are switching over and being more technical. But what kind of careers, that we normally don't talk about can, people look forward to having in, STEM?
What kind of career? I mean, you have your regular engineers out there. You have your scientists out there. You can major as a scientist. You can major in engineering. There are a lot of computer technology, computer engineering. In the military, we were looking for nuclear people to work on the stuff, the nuclear program that the military has. There are so many programs out there in STEM. You have your ITs, instructional technology. no, information technology, because I'm in inspirational technology. So I mean, it's so many careers out there that you can do, and you can at least start making like $60,000 and $70,000, in these STEM films. I mean, STEM careers.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the mathematicians out there. We lack in those fields. We lack teachers in those fields too, and they start out with pretty good amount of money too as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so many careers out there. Even just working on cars, being like a mechanic, working on, because most of these vehicles these days, they are electrical too as well.
Yeah.
So you need somebody out there that knows how to deal with the computers in the car. So you really want to have to spend 4 years in school. You can just work as a mechanic, even start your own business too as well. As a mechanic, dealing with these cars that are computerized these days. So there are so many careers out there. You just got to research them. There's so many out there. So it's just hard to just, to start trying to, name them. So surgical technology, that was one of the careers I wanted to major in when I got out of high school. Everything is pretty much technology based these days. You're not going to find a career. When you're looking for jobs, there's definitely going to be jobs out there that's going to be related to STEM. There definitely is these days. I don't care how you look at it, because even if you was to get a job at a school, they're going to want to know, do you have any technical skills? Do you know how to use Microsoft Words? And Microsoft is coming very advanced these days too. So you're going to have to learn how to navigate through that technology too. So.
Yeah. Well, look, I could just tell you being a creative, on the side of editing and things of that nature. You have to know these skills, and man, there's all types of things that's constantly changing, in programs. So you have to keep up if you want to keep in that race. So, okay.
Yeah, even with photographers these days. I mean, you remember back in the day, they used to take the pictures. Okay, then they used to dip it in the water, whatever you used to dip it in just to develop the film.
Yeah.
Now these days, photography has become so advanced where you're not just taking a picture, you're editing, you're photoshopping it. You're doing so many things to these to the client's faces. So it's not just taking a picture; it's more than that. Now people want to look beautiful when they take pictures these days. So you can airbrush it, you can do it pretty much anything, and we're talking about photography, okay? Yeah.
So, but no, we just named like a ton of careers, but as you said, everything's technical now, so you have to add the technical piece to it as well. So
yeah, even when you're doing film, when you're filming a movie, there's a lot of editing going on. My son wanted to be a graphic designer, I believe, and no, he wanted to work in film. I said, well, that's a lot of technology, because he wanted to work for Marvel. That's what he wants to do. So, but we're trying to get him there. But right now he's in the military. But it is so much technology going on in there. Let's talk about the green screen.
Oh,
are you familiar with that? The green screen, where you can do so much with the green screen.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's just so much going on. Like even with my daughter's practice, I don't even have to be in there to watch her practice. I can watch her on my phone practicing in the gym, because they got it set up like that. All I have to do is put in a code, download the app, put in the code, and I'm watching her. I don't even have to be at her practice anymore. Even a football game.
Right.
Huh?
No, I mean, basically you see everything that's going on, and as you said, you're not even there, so. Yeah.
Even football games these days, you can live stream the football games. You don't even have to be there anymore. So.
Wait a minute. Funerals, and I know this sounds a little crazy, but funerals, people live stream funerals now, like those who are not going to show up or what have you, and you can watch services online. I mean, I personally creepy personally, but that's just me, but no, I mean, there's like everything is available to you online these days. So
yes.
STEM, please, people, STEM. All right. Now, I know we touched on this a little bit earlier, but I just want to, bring it home a little bit. I just want to bring this home. And you were talking about under-resourced schools that didn't offer STEM. And even as far as certain, teachers or whatever, they're like afraid to even teach STEM or what have you. I just have to ask, in your opinion, how can these under-resourced schools get more involved into getting STEM into their school?
So I found out is that there is so much money, grant money out there for STEM schools. I mean, if you want a STEM program, you got the students, you got the IRN number or tax ID number. These schools can apply for these grants, like the Bill Gates and Melinda Ford Foundation. They're very big on STEM, so the schools can apply for grants. It's just a matter of taking that initiative and doing it, or a matter of a parent saying, "Hey, can we get this into the school?" You know, even a parent can step up and say, you know what? Why can't we have this in our school? You know, I saw a grant, you know, here where, you know, they're fund this, they're fund that. You know, it's just a matter of the schools just doing their homework too as well. You know, I put it all on the administration, you know, because the parents don't know these things. But schools can actually apply for grants. They can actually, there's local organizations out here, like for an example, we got COSI out here. They're actually partnering with our schools to go in to teach kids about STEM. Gosh, there's so many organizations out here that we have here in Columbus, Ohio. And it's just a matter of the schools reaching out to these organizations. And sometimes the organization will reach out itself. I know when I do my STEM camps, I reach out to these organizations so I can make sure that they're on there. Like I have a colleague who's a pilot. So when he comes to my camp, he teaches our kids about aerodynamics. You see what I'm saying? So I'm bringing the resources to me for these kids. It's just a matter of administrators, principal, superintendent taking the time to resource these funds. And I can also tell you this as well. If you stay in a certain neighborhood, of course you're going to get, you know, if you stay in a rich neighborhood, of course you're going to get a lot of tax dollars, you know, to fund these resources. But if you stay in a neighborhood, you know, that's underprivileged, you're not going to get that many funds in your schools. So that's why it's important for these school districts and these principals to be resourcing. I mean, to be, you know, to be reaching out, to be finding the grant money, and which is that kind of just frustrates me. I'm like, the money is there. It's there. Right. So look, I don't.
Look,
guys have, huh?
I agree with you. Like, not, as you said, it comes down to the admin making a call, and really, if it's about like progressing, you know, the students in your school to the next level, then you have to make the sacrifice sometimes to get more involved and actually sit down and learn yourself about how you can get your school, you know, to the next level. You know, like we always talk about, okay, well, man, we're on this track or we're on this track. Well, all schools want to be on the highest track, you know, to be recognized by peers or what have you. But when you have admin that, you know, they're not doing what they need to do to, you know, launch their school to the next level, you're sort of stuck with what you're stuck with. So. You
really are. And then you just have some of these parents, you know, that are not too invested in their kids' education. And it's really sad. It's so sad just not to be involved in their education at all. You know, that's one thing. And then you have the STEM. So what can you do? You can talk to them about, okay, your kid is not doing well, but then you try to throw STEM at them. They're like, what is STEM? Why do I even care about STEM? My child is going to school anyway. So sometimes you can't connect the parents with STEM. So I put it all on the schools. Yeah. So it's the schools to send home letters. Hey, we got the science fair coming up. We want to invite you guys out. You know what I mean? So sometimes it starts with the school when it comes to that type of education. It really does.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm just going to say this, you know, they need to get out of the traditional mindset, because that's just not how we're living. You know, we're not living like traditionally anymore. And even with schools, you know, there's so much more. I mean, and as you said, yes, you offer the math, you offer, you know, English, you know, social studies, things of that nature, which is understandable because you have to know those things as well. You know, also apply science, you know, STEM to some of those things, especially social studies. Please, you can apply, you know, STEM and science to some of those things, you know, to go back and learn more about events. That's what Google's for, YouTube, all these other channels.
Yeah.
So,
So it all works together. STEM really works with the traditional education model. It's just how you teach and how you present it to the student. It all works hand in hand. You see what I'm saying?
I hear you.
Yeah, it all works together. It's just how do we teach it to our kids?
So
and how do we get parents to understand what it is?
So before we get out of here, real quick, I want to talk about your STEM camp because I've heard you just mention it. I want to talk a little bit more about that. Can you talk to us about that just for a second or two?
So the STEM camps basically consist of, we do a lot of robotics. Okay, I love to do robotics. And I also call my other colleagues in. Like I said, I got a pilot who will come out there and teach the kids about aerodynamics. I have the military who will come out there and teach the kids how to build underwater robotics. I have another colleague that comes out there to teach the kids how to code and program. One thing that I did not mention about STEM that's included in there is art. So art is a part of STEM too as well. Mm-hmm. So when you're talking about designing clothes, that's part of STEM too as well. Graphic design, that's all part of STEM. So I have a colleague that comes out there who will teach the kids how to, make their own clothes, put it on a screen and, sketch it for them. You know what I mean? I don't know all what they do, but I just know that it's more like graphic design at the camp. I just know I just know that I like to build robots with my hands. So we've also done, what else we done out there? We've done the kindergarten kids, we teach them how to do a PowerPoint slide, how to use Microsoft Word. So we teach that to our little kids out there, and we also teach them how to design buildings just by using marshmallows and spaghetti. But the camp is normally like a whole week. But this year we did a whole month at the school that I was at. We did a whole month of a STEM pretty much. So even though I was the academic director, but I kind of incorporated STEM into my program as well. Okay. So, but these camps, they start from 8:00 and we get out about 3:30. Parents, some parents pay a fee. If you can't afford a fee, that's fine. We'll work with you on that. But it's expensive, and so we have to charge sometimes. But this camp we did not charge because it was funded by the government, by the state. But I've done a lot of camps in my days. The first camp that I did was in my hometown, which was in Georgia. I had about 75 kids to attend this camp. Yes, 75 kids. And the good thing about this camp was I had my family members out there that was helping me along the way. Of course, they wasn't, technology, savvy, anything like that. Right. So I just had them kind of sweep here, mop here, see about this kid. So I had them doing, the other work. But yeah, we had 75 kids. I called out a magician out there. I call him my STEM magician. He's actually out of Savannah, Georgia. He has his own TV talk show on Bravo. Okay. It's called Magic Mark. So he came out there with his animals, and it was a really great time. So and believe it or not, these kids showed up every day for camp. I don't think I dropped no more than 60 kids at a time during that whole week, and it was mixed too. It wasn't just all black or all white. It was like half and half.
Well,
and this is in 2015.
Okay, so look, that's okay. So that's pretty much what I'm trying to hit on. Look, of course, I want to see, African American youth excel, succeed, do everything we need to do. But also at the same time, it's like you said, it's also about building connections. And I just know how difficult it is alone to just get kids all on the same page, as well, just get on the same page. But to have them come every single day, and you're dealing with over 60, 70 kids, but it's something there that they, draw to, and it's something that interests them. And to me, that's what education really, truly is. It's about and them learning as well. You have to learn from them just like they're learning from you. So
Oh, I can tell you, there have been some kids that have taught me some stuff, when I'm building their robots. And I'm like, Dr. Smith, do you know if you can do this and this will connect? I was like, really? Like, let me try that out. So I've had kids actually teach me some things in the camp too as well. I've had some kids at that camp that were special needs or on the spectrum, and it was hard for the teacher to teach them in the classroom. But when you put a robot in front of them, you give them the instructions, you give them, all the tools that they need. They sat right there in their chair and built their whole robot by themselves. The teacher came up to me and said, you know what, we can never get him to sit down. I said, because you have to keep him busy. You have to keep him busy. That's why it's important for you guys to teach them in your classroom. I guarantee that student will not get up out of his seat. Okay. I remember this summer we had a kid just like that. He will always walk out of his teacher's classroom. I would see him walking up and down. So during the camp, he would never walk out of my classroom because he was so into building robots, building these drones. And the principal said, you know what? I have never seen him stay in the classroom this long before. I said, yeah, because this is what he likes. You have to keep him busy, Yeah.
Come on. Like, as I said before, taking the non-traditional route. Like, we have to get away from the traditional way of school because that worked in the first industrial revolution. Okay?
Yeah.
We're in the fourth industrial revolution, people. We got to switch it up. We got to overhaul the way we think about education. And you just gave two great examples because that's what kids are into. They are where they are.
Like I have a kid, that I had a kid this summer. He's like a big teddy bear and ADHD. He was ADHD and nobody really wanted him. I'm not going to say nobody really wanted him in their program because he wasn't really paying attention. He'll wander off. And so when I had him in my class and he was sitting in the back, he always keeps to himself, such a nice big kid, very nice kid. And when I gave him, we was building these robots called Solar Robotics. So I had gave him the book. And so I had started helping some other kids up front. And when I walked back to him, this kid had already built this robot completely by itself. I said, oh my goodness, what? It just impressed me so much because I have high school students that are in their right mind frame. They couldn't even put the freaking wheels or the body together. And this kid who's on the spectrum, who's sitting back there by himself, he couldn't really speak to. He doesn't talk too well either.
Okay.
But I was so impressed. And when his mom came to pick him up, he was so happy showing his mom his robot that he had built. He was so happy. Yes, and that kind of made me feel good too as well. It did make me feel good. I'm like, this kid who never bothers anybody. Everybody knows there's something wrong with him, but he was so happy. He did not want to leave my classroom. He didn't even want to leave. Yeah, he didn't even want to leave to go home. He wanted to stay behind.
Ladies and gentlemen, all my educators, that's what we call a connection. Okay? Yeah. Some of us have gotten away from connecting. We just rather be individuals. But when you connect, see the wonders you can do, man.
Oh, so let me tell you that this is one incident. So when we first started doing our program in the school district, so this science teacher, she had announced that, okay, hey, we got DLS coming out doing robotics. Nobody never even heard of me. She said as soon as she put robotics down there, she said she had at least 30, 40 kids to sign up for the robotics class. She's like, I have never seen so many kids sign up. She was like, I should have pulled out the red carpet on you guys. And we had a classroom full of kids, high school kids, seniors at that, in this class, building robots.
Yes.
We taught the lesson. We didn't just build. We didn't just go in and say, okay, we're going to build these robots. Because what we did was we taught what solar power was. We taught, where the energy comes from, solar energy comes from. So we teach as well. We don't just throw them in there and say, here, build this robot. We teach as well.
No. And I mean, let's just keep it real. A lot of these kids, they're not like dumb or anything. Like they have an inkling of how things work. It's just the technical part of things that they really don't know. So when you have someone like yourself that comes in and you really break it down to them. Next thing you know, yeah, hey, I started off with 50 this day. By the end of the week, I'm at 75, 80. I don't know if I can handle all these kids.
Exactly.
But, that only speaks to what you're doing, and you're headed in the look. I'm so glad to have this conversation with you.
Thank you.
Look, I've been on this for, I'm not gonna tell you how long, but man, I've been preaching this for a while. And
really
be a overhaul. We need to reinvent what education is. Get out of the traditional, get out of the first industrial, get into what's going on now. Because sitting in a desk and listening to someone talk about, stuff that, let's just keep it real, in a sense, no one's really paying attention to. We're just here because we know we have to go to school.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we just have to regurgitate whatever it is you're saying to us so we can just put this down on the test. This information is going to be lost because it's not being put into use. But someone like yourself that's living in the here and now, hey, you know what? Let's start off small. Let me tell you all about solar energy.
Exactly.
Solar panels. Let me show you some of the things solar panels can do. Please. You can add these to your home. It'll cut down on the bill. It'll keep the house warm in the winter, cool in the summer. This, that, and the other. You can install this. And then when you bring the money aspect into it, because super real, these kids love money. All right. And they want to know what it is that they're doing is going to get them paid.
Yep.
Period. That's from high school all the way down to elementary. They want to know what it is I'm doing can get me paid, because you may scroll up and down social media here and there, and you may see a 14-year-old that, built their own robot, or, they're teaching finance, or because they came up with an algorithm or something that helps them do these things. Those are one-hit wonders to me. I'm well, man, why can't we get a team of these kids? Why can't it just be more of these stories instead of the one out of 50? Or the one out of 75, I don't want to read that. I want to read about a group of kids coming together and starting their own thing and doing their own thing, because, man, after we're gone, the planet stares, Yeah. So they have to do something with it, But, man, I could get on that soapbox all day. I'm getting off that soapbox right now. But how can people get in contact with you? How can they, learn more about the school, either social media, websites, emails, all that?
Okay, so if they want to get in contact with me, they can call the school. The phone number is 614-824-2717. That's the phone number to the school. And the website address to the school is Della, DELLA, School of Coding and Design.tech. So you can also go to the website. We have a page where you can reach out to us for contact information. And if anybody's looking for, us to come in and do a STEM camp, they can also reach us at that school as well. And I'm also on Facebook. So you can just go to Della School, just type in Della School of Coding and Design. So, and I normally respond back to people, within minutes, because I'm always on social media. I don't have an Instagram right now, but I'm also on LinkedIn as well. But with LinkedIn, you probably have to look me up by my full name, which is Lavonia Smith. So you can reach out to me there as well. Or you can send me a personal email, which is STEM, STEM, DLS, education @gmail.com. So you can send me an email as well. So that's STEM, DLS, education @gmail.com. And I'm always responding to my emails. I respond to every email.
Okay, all right, because it's still about that business, y'all. All right, it's still
yes, it is.
Okay, we still got to get
donations.
All right, You still gotta get it done. All right.
Mhm.
So now look, I come to my last question. This is the question that my show's known for, so I have to present it to you.
Okay.
Dr. Lavonia Smith, what is the one word that best describes you and why?
I would say an innovator. And the reason why, because I'm always out here inventing stuff for my kids to do. That's the only way to describe me as an innovator.
Well, look, I said it before, I'm gonna say it again, and she just told y'all innovator, trailblazer. All right. First African American school in Columbus, Ohio, with coding, STEM and coding and everything you need. Okay. First.
I forgot to add something to my school. I forgot to say we also do culture learning too. So we teach kids about the culture, okay? We teach them about African American history, not just Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King, okay? We go all the way back to the Moors, all right?
Okay, all right, come on with it. Come on with this now. Look, man, look, that's a show for a whole nother day. I'm gonna have to invite you back for that one. But no, I love that. I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. You know what I'm saying? Let me just say, this has been splendid. Like, I have enjoyed, talking to you, man. I have enjoyed this interview. For all of those parents, even like students watching this interview right now, man, get into STEM. Get into STEM. It is here. It ain't going nowhere. No time soon. Probably ever or whatever. So
it's not going anywhere.
Right. So for all of you on your PlayStations and your Xboxes and like your Nintendo flip switches and all that, come on over to the STEM side, so you can design your own video games and your own like game networks and things of that nature. So look, I have enjoyed you, man. Thank you for coming on the platform and talking with me. And ladies and gentlemen, this has been Word with Ty Brownlow. I've been your host, Ty Brownlow. Remember, no one is worthless. No story is worthless. You can follow me all social media platforms at Word with Ty Brownlow, or you can go to my website, tybrownlow.com. Y'all definitely getting this interview here, plus other great interviews as well. Dr. Lavonia Smith, I thank you. I thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
You are welcome. All right, y'all. We out. Peace.